She was hired to take care of a paralyzed millionaire, but he ended up calling her his wife. Elena never imagined her life would change the day she walked through the wrought iron gates of the Rosendale estate, a mansion that stretched across acres of blooming gardens and silent hallways. She needed work desperately, and when the nursing agency called with a last-minute assignment, she accepted without hesitation, unaware that the man she was about to care for was once one of the most feared, respected, and admired business magnates in the country. Adrian Rosendale, the millionaire who built empires with a ruthless mind and golden heart, had been paralyzed from the waist down after a car accident that stole his mobility, his independence, and almost his will to live. Most nurses quit within days, some found him cold, some found him intimidating, and others simply couldn't bear the heaviness that lingered in the mansion, a weight borne from Adrian's quiet suffering. But Elena was different. She stepped inside his dimly lit bedroom and saw not a powerful man broken by fate, but a lonely soul fighting battles he never asked for. His piercing eyes met hers with a mix of suspicion and exhaustion. "You won't last 3 days," he muttered, his voice deep but wounded. Elena didn't flinch. "Then let me surprise you," she replied softly, laying her bag down. That was the first moment Adrian's icy armor cracked, even if he didn't know it yet. The first week was brutal. Adrian refused help, rolled away from her, barked orders, and made it clear he didn't want pity from anyone. But Elena offered none. Instead, she treated him with dignity, firmness, and a warmth he had forgotten existed. She talked to him while preparing his meals. She opened the curtains every morning despite his grumbles, letting sunlight spill into the room like hope sneaking in. She placed fresh flowers on his bedside. And slowly, the house began to feel alive. Sometimes she caught him watching her, a softening in his eyes quickly hidden whenever she looked back. One morning, while helping him transfer to his wheelchair, he suddenly snapped, "Why don't you leave like everyone else?" Elena held his gaze and said, "Because you deserve someone who doesn't give up on you." Those words pierced deeper than she realized. No one had ever told Adrian he deserved care, not after his accident, not after the world moved on without him. That night, he didn't eat alone. He allowed her to bring dinner to the garden patio, where the spring air felt like a reminder that life still had color. They talked, truly talked, for the first time. Adrian told her about the company he built, the betrayal he faced from the people he trusted, and how the accident happened the night he discovered his fiancée had been unfaithful. Elena listened, her heart aching for him, and for the first time in months, Adrian laughed, a tired but genuine sound. From that day on, something shifted. He tried harder during physical therapy, gripping the bars with trembling arms while Elena encouraged him behind tear-brimmed eyes. Again, she would say, "You are stronger than you think." Some days he succeeded, some days he broke down, but Elena was always there, steady, patient, believing for him when he couldn't. And Adrian began to look forward to her presence more than he admitted. She became his morning, his calm, his anchor. She brought life back into the walls of Rosendale Estate, and even his staff whispered that the house felt different since she arrived. But Elena had her own secrets, a past filled with hardship, a broken home, and dreams she buried to survive. Yet Adrian never judged. Instead, he saw her strength, her resilience, her kindness, which felt rarer than diamonds in his world. One stormy evening, the power went out, plunging the mansion into darkness. Elena hurried to Adrian's room, finding him tense, gripping the armrest of his wheelchair. "I'm here," she whispered, placing her hand over his. For the first time, he didn't pull away. Instead, he whispered back, "Don't go." They stayed like that, fingers intertwined, a fragile connection turning into something neither dared name. Adrian's improvement grew slow but steady. He regained partial movement in his upper legs, enough to attempt standing with support. The day he managed to lift himself, even for a few seconds, he looked at Elena with tears streaming down his face. "You gave me my life back," he said hoarsely. But Elena shook her head. "No, Adrian. You fought for it." The truth was, they were falling for each other, silently, dangerously, beautifully. Everyone saw it, except them. One afternoon, while Elena helped him dress, he suddenly said, "When I first met you, I thought you were just another nurse sent to tolerate me." Elena smiled softly. "And now?" Adrian hesitated, his voice trembling as he whispered, "Now I can't imagine this place without you." Her heart thudded painfully. She felt the same, but the line between caregiver and employer was thin, and she feared crossing it. But fate doesn't wait for permission. One morning, Elena rushed into Adrian's room to find him missing. Panic surged until she spotted him at the far end of the hallway, standing, gripping the rail, sweat dripping down his temples, legs shaking violently. "Adrian! You'll fall," she cried, running towards him. But he shook his head with fierce determination. I have to do this, for you." And then, before she could catch him, he lost balance. She grabbed him at the last second, pulling him into her arms as he collapsed. They sank to the floor, his head resting against her shoulder, both shaking with emotion. "Why would you risk that?" she whispered, tears falling. Adrian lifted his hand, cupping her cheek with trembling fingers. "Because I love you, Elena," he breathed. Silence fell. Elena froze, her heart racing, her breath caught between shock and a truth she had long hidden inside. But when she looked into his eyes, full of fear, hope, and love, she whispered back, "I love you too, Adrian." The confession broke the last wall between them. He held her like she was the only thing keeping him alive, and in many ways, she was. After that day, everything changed. They ate together, laughed together, healed together. Adrian pushed harder in therapy, not to prove himself to the world but to stand beside the woman who gave him a reason to live. Months later, on a warm summer morning, Adrian insisted on walking again. Elena stood in front of him, hands gently outstretched. He gripped the rails, breath steady, muscles trembling, and then, step by agonizing step, he walked toward her. When he fell into her arms, she cried against his chest. But Adrian gently lifted her chin and whispered, "Elena, will you stay with me? Not as my nurse, but as the woman I want to build a life with." Her heart burst. She nodded, tears falling, and Adrian kissed her softly, a kiss filled with gratitude, pain, triumph, and love. From that day forward, Elena wasn't just his nurse. She became the one who stood beside him through every victory, every setback, every sunrise. And Adrian, the man once trapped in despair, proudly introduced her to everyone not as an employee, but as the woman he called his wife. Their story became a reminder that sometimes the people sent to heal us end up becoming the people we can't imagine living without. And if you felt this story in your heart, if it touched you, inspired you, or moved you, then make sure you subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this. Your support keeps these powerful stories alive and helps us bring more heart-touching content to you every day.